Welcome to the Made in the Mist podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. Now please welcome your hosts, Emma and Dan.
All right, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Made in the Mist podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. And today we have somebody very, very special, and it's Emma to my left here too.
Good morning, everybody. Hello.
Yeah, no, my co-host Emma too. But we also have Dr. David Gray, not Dr. Gray from Grey's Anatomy, but somebody even better, better. The Vice-President academic at the University of Niagara Falls, the Provost as well too. So welcome to the Made in the Mist podcast. It's an honor to have you on our show.
Thanks so much for the invitation. It's great to be here.
So David Gray, the first thing we always want to do is we want to delve into, who you are and what brought you to this point. So we'll go right back to the start, to the early days. Obviously we can tell that he has an amazing and beautiful accent. So where did life start for you and how did you get here to Niagara Falls?
So my accent's a bit hard to place because I've been around, but I'm originally from Cornwall in the UK. So the land of the pirates and smugglers.
Okay.
So I can't say my R's properly. People always say I sound like a pirate. And I grew up in Cornwall, so that's the most southwesterly point of the United Kingdom, and lived and just loved it there. Lots of culture, very Celtic, originally Cornwall was a country in its own right until the English invaded and took it over. So, it's the land of King Arthur. Jack the Giant Killer, so it's absolutely beautiful part of the world. And I suppose that's what made me decide I wanted to move into marine biology, because people always say, how's a marine biologist ended up where you are? And, it's Cornwall in the, I'm not going to say the dates because it'll age me, but when I was growing up there, Cornwall was going through a rough time. The fishing quotas from the European Union were having a major impact on the fishing. They were shutting the tin mining down, which was the biggest industry there. And I was seeing the impact it was having on my friends at school. They couldn't afford lunches to come to school, and so on, because their parents were out of work. And so I wanted to do something that could perhaps help. I wasn't going to go into mining, but marine biology was an area that I was really interested in. And so that's kind of what drove me initially into my subject area.
Wow. And where did it go from there? So marine biology in Cornwall. Yep. And then again, we're in Niagara Falls. Not too much marine life here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I always say when people look at me, I say it's not the age, it's the mileage. I've done a lot of miles. I've been very lucky. But from Cornwall, marine biology, I went to university and I studied marine biology in North Wales. Okay. When I was going there, I kind of I assumed and expected whales, dolphins, seals, and so on.
Sea turtles.
And realized, sea turtles are, and realized very quickly that marine biology is 99% mud and seaweed, right? It's really not quite what, people expect. Yeah. It's not as glamorous,
majestic, watching orcas.
You're not in that sort of rib inflatable chasing the whales. It doesn't happen, right? You're usually up to your waist in mud, taking samples with a spade. But so from there, I was very lucky. I was offered a scholarship, PhD scholarship, to go to South Africa.
Beautiful.
Obviously, at that time, South Africa was coming out of the apartheid era, but there was still a lot of economic sanctions against South Africa, and South Africa wasn't necessarily the place you told people you were going, but wonderful opportunity. Yes. I could talk to you for a whole hour on all of the fun things that happened to me in South Africa. I've got a tarantula bite on my stomach.
Oh, wow. And you're here.
I'm here, yeah. It was in my sleeping bag and decided it didn't want to share.
New fear unlocked, everybody. New fear unlocked.
Always check your sleeping bag before you get in it.
Wow.
Lots of stories about South Africa. Beautiful part of the world. And in amongst that time, I was in Hong Kong for a time. I've spent a little bit of time in the Falkland Islands, it's just been very, very lucky. My career has allowed me to move and travel, and just experience other cultures, but early on I moved into administration, probably a lot earlier than most. There was a kind of an urgent need for somebody to step in, when I was at Hartbury, in Gloucestershire. And so I stepped into kind of the dean's shoes very early in my career, and found I liked it. You know, I got into education because I really enjoy teaching. I love working with the students. You know, I love the opportunity to work with them and help them achieve their goals. You know, there's nothing better than sitting on the graduation stage when they're crossing the stage. Yes. I mean, that feeling, you know,
impact that you made.
I feel like a proud father of like 1,000, 2,000 kids, right? Go. They're all walking across the stage, and I'm thinking, you know, this is just fantastic. So that's kind of why I went into it. And yeah, administration was early, and then I've been a senior administrator in education for last 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And just traveling different institutions.
Yeah, moved up.
Always at the university level?
Yeah, always at the university level. So I've worked in, I think, 5 institutions in 4 different countries. Oh, wow. You know, we worked our way up the UK. So Gloucestershire, which is just outside Bristol. Then we moved up to the Peak District, where we were in Buxton. Each of the institutions was, I wasn't just dean, I ran a campus. Okay. So there was a campus of a university that was separate. And so I was kind of the principal of the campus as well. So Buxton in Derbyshire, and then from there up to the Shetland Islands, right up in the north of Scotland, 60 degrees north, you know, 24 hours daylight in the summer.
Yes. And then the opposite in the winter, right?
Yeah, pretty dark, right? It's but warm. I mean, people always say, "Oh my goodness, snow and rain," but it wasn't, because the Gulf Stream came across.
Yes.
So we had kind of warmish water around us. So it never got particularly cold, but it never got particularly warm. So you know, the average, the temperature range was kind of 0 degrees to 20. Okay. Right. So summer would be 20, winter would be 0. You know, whereas here you can have 60 degrees. Switches, right? From minus 20 up to, you know, it's quite significant. So, and then from there, Nova Scotia. And then Nova Scotia for 10 years. Yeah. Yeah, snow and cold.
Exactly. Get all the big storms there.
So that was your first landing in Canada, like as a dean, or Yeah,
2013. So moved from Shetland to Nova Scotia, Canada, and that was a great opportunity because Dalhousie had merged with the Nova Scotia Agricultural College, which meant it had a new campus. Wow. My background had been in agriculture, you know, marine biology, aquaculture into agriculture, just so that everyone understands that, you know, that kind of linkage. Mm-hmm. I knew Dalhousie because it was a top oceans university in the world. So I knew it from my marine biology days. And of course, I've worked in agriculture. I've also run campuses. So, you know, it was a great opportunity. So I took it. My brother and his family are in New Brunswick. Oh, okay. They moved to Canada a lot earlier than we did. At the time, I say this now, I'm quite embarrassed to say it, but at the time I didn't realize how close Nova Scotia and New Brunswick were.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Very, very small.
Yeah, I just kind of thought, oh, we're going to be, you know, in the same country. You know, but actually we were 3 hours apart. So he's an academic, so he's traveled the world as well. So, you know, we were always at opposite sides of the planet.
Moncton?
He's in St. John.
Okay.
Yeah, which is.
And that's because it's funny you mentioned St. John, because somebody I know moved out there. I'm like, so you're saying Newfoundland? No, St. John, New Brunswick. Oh yeah. So St. John's. And St. John.
Yeah, you got to be really careful. Right? Otherwise, you get on your flight and you end up in completely the wrong place.
Exactly. So that's, you know, and it's funny that you mentioned 2013. That's the time that I was actually in Nova Scotia for academic conference there too, and Halifax, such a great place. Such a beautiful place.
It's a funky town. Yeah. I mean, it's got that kind of feel and vibe. I think part of it is because there are so many students there.
It's so nice. So many nice people.
It's like, beautiful.
You want to cross the street, the cars stop. They stop and then let you cross the street. I'm like, wow, I feel like royalty here.
Yeah, so. It's good going that way. Yeah. When somebody from Nova Scotia goes to Toronto, it's dangerous.
Yes. They just start walking.
Nobody stops. Yeah.
And it was, and the good thing is they had a place called the Black Crow. I don't know if that.
Yes.
One of the most infamous taverns there too. So it's a great town. And then from Nova Scotia, now we're here in Niagara Falls.
Here in Niagara Falls.
Quite a different landscape, if you will.
Yeah, and it was again, it's just an opportunity too good to miss. So you know, I've been, as I said, senior administrator 25 years. You know, all of that time in public sector universities. You know, and all of that time in universities that have been in existence for decades, if not centuries.
Yes.
You know, this is an opportunity to start and build a university from complete scratch, clean sheet.
Yes.
You know, and not have to bring the baggage and tradition, you know, and so we're starting with that kind of opportunity with, well, let's put the learner here and then let's build around our learner and our student to ensure that, you know, whatever we're doing is going to help them and benefit them, you know, and to build a team from scratch.
Oh, that must be
You
fun.
just don't have that chance, right? I mean, it's, you know, HR, humans, you know, people are your number one resource. They are the most important thing, you know, and so to be able to actually build that team is just great. And Niagara Falls, I mean, just what a place. So I'll be honest again. So people say, have you ever been to Niagara Falls? I did the touristy thing.
Yeah.
Right? So I would go to Toronto regularly for meetings. And one day we decided, oh, we'll rent a car, you know, and we shot out to Niagara Falls, you know, basically jumped out the car, looked at the falls. Hey, they're nice. Jump back in the car, gone. Right?
Exactly.
So never really saw the city, and certainly didn't have a chance to explore the area.
Yes.
You know, and I'm just amazed. I mean, how beautiful it is, right? I mean, as
really
a region, isn't it? It's just absolutely fantastic.
We have everything here. I have friends too that have lived all over the world, and they always come home and say there's nothing like Niagara.
There isn't.
Yeah.
There isn't. And, you know, and I'm saying people to, you know, because Nova Scotia is very rural.
Yes.
You know, and they're saying, oh, how are you making the change? And I'm saying, you have no idea.
It's like you're a big city now.
Yeah, right. You've got no idea how just rural this is, right?
Yeah.
You know, for 5 minutes and you're out in the vineyards and the orchards, and you know, it's just absolutely fantastic.
Well, and that's the thing too is, you know, your background in agriculture. You know, Niagara produces 90% of Canada's tender fruit, right?
Yep.
I mean, your peaches, your pears, your apples, and grapes and stuff like that. So, what a great place to live!
It's
when
fantastic.
you can literally have, you know, fruit from the tree, and just go pick it. It's
my drive. So we're currently renting in Niagara-on-the-Lake. So, you know, the drive to and from work is just fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I'm constantly looking out the window saying, oh, you know, they're doing this on the vineyard, or they're doing that. They're getting ready for this. They're getting ready for that. So, yeah, it's going to be wonderful to see how the season progresses. From my perspective, just out of interest.
And you'll hit some fruit stands on the way to work and pick up a box of peaches, and it's
looking forward to it.
It's a lot. It's a lot of fun. Emma, I know that you've been. I've been taking a lot of time, so please.
No, it's been wonderful just getting to know you and hear about your background. And you talked a little bit about like building a team and starting from scratch and all of that. What is that like? Because you are in a very high leadership position with university, and so what was that like of building it from scratch? And what type of strategies did you take to find the right people that believes in the same mission and vision as the university?
So that's an interesting question.
That's a good one.
I'm thinking this through. So, I think we're lucky. In some ways, we're very lucky in the fact that, we've been very open from the outset as to the fact that we're going to do something different. So all of our advertising, all of the messaging is quite clear that, we don't want to compete with other universities. We want to complement them. We want to add to the choice. We want to be doing things a little bit differently so that students, if they want to learn with us, we're so we've been very open from the outset that come to us because we're going to do something different, and we're finding that we're attracting those people, right? So I think that's the first, is that be very open, and transparent as to where you're going and what you want to be, and you'll find that people will actually kind of gravitate towards you. So we're finding through the process of hiring that, these people are wanting to, you ask them, why UNF? Why are you interested in UNF? And the answer is almost always because we want to make change, right? We want to do something different. Right. We're excited about this opportunity, because things aren't always perfect, in the current system, and we believe we can do things in a different way. So, so I think there's that natural selection. Because the flip side is it's kind of it could be perceived to be quite risky.
Of course,
right? You're in a long-term university, permanent position. And along comes this new university that pops up in Niagara Falls, and people are kind of, that's interesting. So we're also finding that it's those people who are probably natural innovators, entrepreneurs, right? Those kind of people that are willing to take the risk, and understand that, yes, it might be a risk, but the returns are going to be huge.
Absolutely. And the impact. The impact that you make, right?
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of us are in there, right? It's because you get that kind of, that job satisfaction, to see that change. So I think it's a lot of it has just been being very open about the fact that this is going to be different.
Yes.
You know, and we're looking for people that are like-minded. I will tell you now, I haven't had as much fun at work as I've had in the last 6 months. You know, at work, I've always enjoyed my work, but my goodness, these 6 months have been fab, because the people are all, you sit around tables in meetings and you say, okay, we've got this, you know, and they're all kind of solution focused.
Yes.
You know, it's not a case of we can't do this because of X, we can't do this because of Y. It's a kind of, okay, that's an interesting challenge. Yeah. How are we going to solve it?
So, and you're all kind of navigating this a little bit together, because anyone on your roster has ever built a university from scratch?
This is the first one. This is the first one for Gus.
Yeah, first one for Global University Systems, and you know, it's the newest university in Canada. They just don't happen every year,
and
right?
Probably
So you know, the chances
America.
Of coming across somebody that started a university, you know, it's a very, very, very rare thing.
Sounds like a once in a lifetime opportunity. So
it sounds like we're gonna have the hallway of David Gray somewhere there.
Solar, you got the solar eclipse.
Yeah.
Brand new university.
Yeah.
Right? Two things, right?
in the same century, like what are the chances?
Yeah,
so.
How lucky is that?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's exactly it. I mean, we've been just hearing so much positivity from this new university too. And what's interesting is that the courses that you guys are leading there, teaching there, are so relevant to today's world. I mean, you know, data analytics. Yes. Digital marketing, and the one that we're most interested in is the Masters of Management Entrepreneurship.
Yep.
What a fantastic course and curriculum and degree to get.
Yep.
Because, you know, a lot of us, you know, 95% of Canada's business are small and medium enterprises that started from somebody's like, I want to be an entrepreneur, right? So what a very relevant course. Can you speak a little bit on why you guys selected those courses?
Of course. Yeah, so new university. So we only have, currently we're offering 5 programs, which have been approved by the provincial government. And just so everybody knows, you know, we as a private university, we have to go through exactly the same steps as public. You know, it's a very rigorous and intensive process to get and expensive to get programs approved, right? And to get a new university approved. So the quality and standards have been set, you know, and they've been vetted by the provincial government. So, you know, we're the same standard as everybody else. And the 5 programs that we started with were, as you said, Master of Management, Master of Data Analytics. We've got a Master of Arts in Digital Media and Global Communications.
Yes.
And boy, are they interested in coming down and having a look at this setup. You know, and then we've got a Bachelor of Business Administration and a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Sciences.
Yes.
So those 5 programs were all proposed because they meet labor shortages in the region.
Okay.
You know, and so what we're all about is actually looking at labor gaps, skills shortages, you know, to ensure that what we're offering is going to help the region, you know, and ensure that there are employment opportunities for our students.
So no basket weaving course? Like
not yet. No, not yet. You know, and, you know, we're starting to look at what our next set of programs are going to be, because obviously we are a university. We want to grow and have that diverse offering. You know, but anything that we offer is always going to be looked at through that lens of, well, how is it going to help the region?
Exactly.
How's it going to help the province? You know, how are we going to attract people in and give them those high-level skills that are going to make Niagara Falls, you know, kind of the place to come.
Well, and none of that, like, provide that avenue for direct employment right out of the university. I mean, a lot of times, a lot of people, including myself, you go with get a degree and then you have to go through some sort of postgraduate school because, you know, you just have a general understanding. But with you guys, it seems like they're very specific courses, very specific programs that can lead to immediate employment in the region and beyond.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things that we're looking at when we say we're going to be different. So, you know, and that is that we understand that our students are coming to us and they're paying tuition because they want to get highly skilled and qualified to go out and get a job.
Yes.
You know, and so we want to make sure that we're preparing them for that. So, you know, all of our programs will be taught through the lens of what we're calling the digital mindset. Right.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what you study with us. Whilst you're studying with us, you'll get the skills and competency to be successful and comfortable working in the virtual world, because data is the new gold.
Yes.
You know, information is everything.
Yes.
You know, technology is moving and growing and developing exponentially, and we need to ensure that our students have got those skills to be able to succeed. So, you know, so from that perspective, that's the added advantage in relation to doing that, and everything in the classroom is going to be applied. So, you know, we're not talking about sort of examples from textbooks. We're working with partners in industry in the area to bring their challenges and their examples into the classroom.
Yes.
So our students are actually working and cutting their teeth on real life situations.
That's perfect. I know that Emma and I are part of that.
Yes.
Those
Yes.
partners that are trying to bring these companies to.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, what better way to learn than direct experience?
Well, and the employers are already asking us when our students are graduating.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Wow.
So it's a case of our students are arriving this week. They're starting this week.
Wow.
And people are saying, when are they graduating?
Yeah.
Because they're going to look different.
Yes, exactly. And not only that, so people always think, okay, new university, how big can this be? How big can it get? So I know you guys have some projections on number of students in the next couple of years. So I wonder if you want to share some of that. How big do you think this university will get?
So we've got probably about 50 now. Okay. It's a small start, but it's a great start. So we've got 50 now. We're probably going to have about 1,000 in the fall.
Oh wow.
Over the 5 programs. So this week we're starting with just 2 programs, Master of Management and Master of Data Analytics. But in the fall we'll be offering all 5 of our programs. So we'll probably have about 1,000 students by that stage.
That's big.
And then we'll, it's a case of we're going to see how it develops, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure that there's a balance between the internationals and domestics.
Of course.
Which is another reason why we chose the programs we did, because we know that there's local demand for the programs we're offering.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So now that the spring start is off to the start, is that the next initiative that your team is focusing on, excited about? Is the fall first and then moving forward?
Yeah, I think the fall is going to be the next thing.
Nice.
We as a university want to be part of the community, and we want to be bringing solutions to the community and working with the community. We don't want to be a problem, right?
No,
So,
of course.
we want to ensure that we're growing in a responsible way,
Yes.
and working with the community, in partnership. So, over the next few years, we'll want to grow, because part of this is all about economic regeneration as well.
Exactly.
We're in the downtown for a very specific reason.
Yes.
And that is because the community, Mayor Jim and his team are all really interested in kind of rejuvenating what is absolutely fantastic historic area.
Historic, and it went through some dark times, and now the university is helping bring it back to life.
Yeah, and we're already starting to see some of those for-lease signs disappear.
Exactly.
Things are already changing.
Yeah.
And I think the fall is our next big one. Is let's see what the fall looks like, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, but I was hearing that you guys can eventually in the next couple of years get up to 5,000 students or so, even more, right? That's which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's that's kind of where we will certainly be looking, and probably beyond that, right? But as I said, it's all about working with the community to make sure that we're not causing problems, that we're, as I said, hopefully we're solutions.
Absolutely. Oh, we've noticed definitely an increase in activity in the downtown core too, because we were the first kind of institution put in here about 5 years ago to kind of help rejuvenation, and now that you guys are here too, we're starting to see, like I said, a lot of those for leases signs go away, a lot more shops opening up, a lot more people just walking up and down the street too. So we thank you guys for choosing downtown Niagara Falls.
It's been a warm welcome because community has been incredibly positive. People are seeing the signs on the building, and they're coming in and saying, is this now happening? We've heard about it for years.
Yes.
Are you here? And we're saying, well, we're here and our students are here.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And they said, this is fantastic. So there's a lot of positivity in the community as well about our arrival, and that's just fantastic from our perspective.
Yeah, well, it just gives people that home option too, and they can study here in their hometowns if they choose, or just even internationally too, coming and bringing that talent to Niagara as well.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
that definitely would that contribute more to the overall envision for the future too with Niagara Falls University, is to bring that global talent too?
Yeah, it's we're within Canada, we're an aging population.
Yes.
And we have to look at that. Quite often people look at challenges in isolation, and we know that in the news right now there's a lot of discussion about the student visas and international students and so on. But universities are a catalyst for change, and they're also a great opportunity to attract high caliber individuals, that are potentially looking to relocate, you know, and attract them to come to Canada and make it their home, you know, because that's an important point, because as our population ages, you know, there's going to be more demand on healthcare and various other
especially
bits
in
and
the
pieces.
Niagara region.
Yeah,
One of
right.
the oldest.
We need people coming in.
Yeah, we need it now. Yeah, so
Taxpayers, right? You know, at the end of the day, we need people that are going to come in and, you know, and work and contribute to
grow the economy. And also, it's amazing.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question is yes. You know, part of universities have always been, you know, really good at bringing in that kind of, you know, talent, you know, and then retaining them.
Yes.
You know, because that's the thing. When they come to university, you know, a lot of students decide they're going to settle in the area, fall in love with it.
Yeah, and fall in love with someone and then start a family. And the kids is what we need in today's society,
that's
right?
What we need.
The role that you're in right now is like being a business leader. And, you know, you have to hire your team. You have to find your location. You have to make sure that your finances are stable. You have to make, you know, there's so many factors that are playing in your daily life that what we ask all of our guests is, you know, what are some, you know, let's say top 5 tips for managing a business that you would say, you know, it could be everything from, you know, make sure you brush your teeth and make your bed in the morning to, you know, make sure that you have enough research on your employees, whatever the case is. What would you say are, you know, your top 5 tips for trying to run a business?
It's a very good question.
There's no wrong answer.
There's no wrong answer. So I was lucky. I met Richard Branson.
Oh wow!
You know, and I thought when I was at Derby, he was involved in a student project, and I met him. And I chatted to him, and I thought, you know, I'll get some words of wisdom from Sir Richard Branson. So I said to him, you know, what's from your perspective as an executive businessman, you know, what's your number one tip? And he said, always make sure your shower curtain's inside the bath.
That's sounds good.
It's a bad way to start your day if it's not, right?
That's on par with the brush your teeth and everything.
So, well, that's it. It reminded me. My top 5. I think firstly, you've got to surround yourself with the right people. We talked about that earlier, right? I mean, you know, you're not good necessarily at everything. No. You know, you need to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that have skills that you don't necessarily have. So you've also got to be aware of your areas that need development, or perhaps weaknesses. We don't use that word now, but, you know, everybody should know the areas that they're going to need help and support from. So, you know, build your team with that in mind, you know, so that you're developing a team where you've got the skills and knowledge around the table that are going to help you succeed as a team.
Absolutely.
I think secondly, is that team, right? You know, and I think you've got to look at it as the fact that you are a team together, and that you are going to succeed or fail as a team.
Yes.
You know, and make sure that you're giving that support to your colleagues, you know, to allow them to develop themselves wherever possible. So I think that's kind of one and 1A or 1B. You know, I would say also think very carefully. Don't be risk averse. You know, I always say be risk aware.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Obviously, if you're going to be successful in business, you've got to know what the risks are. Right. But don't be risk averse. Be prepared to balance things and think things through, you know, in an informed way, and make sure your decisions are informed. You know, but, you know, don't just turn away because it's risky. Right, you know, high risk, high return sometimes.
Yes, exactly.
You know, so from that perspective, I always say to people, you know, don't be risk averse. So naturally, I've been through in the 25 years, I don't know how many psychometric tests over the years, right? You know, you go for a job and you say, here, fill in this personality test or whatever it is. So. And so I'm kind of right at the top end of the scale when it comes to optimism.
Yeah.
You know, and so you know, and so from that perspective, you know, I'm an eternal optimist. Yeah. Which is a great positive, you know, cheerleader, you know, make sure everyone's happy and inspired. But it can be potentially a weakness in business, right? Because you're always looking through those rose-tinted glasses. Glasses always half full. You know, so I always make sure there are people around me that will ground me in reality.
Be realist,
right? And come back and say, you know, time to come back to planet Earth.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds lovely, you know, but, you know, so what
Or
about
like
this?
you said, being solutions oriented, like, yeah, we have this challenge and this risk, but let's.
That's Emma to me.
Yeah, right.
I'm the optimist and she's a realist. Like, yeah.
That's a very nice way of putting it, right? It's not the kind of the Debbie Downers, you know, that what they're saying is, okay, so, you know, this could be a challenge, you know, but this is how we approach
let's
it.
do it together. Let's get over this. Yeah.
You know, and I suppose with that comes the fact that, you know, you need to also have people that are willing to challenge you.
Yes.
Right.
Do not surround yourself with people who are just going to say yes.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
You've got to have people that are willing, and you've got to build that culture of them being comfortable, right?
Absolutely.
Doing that, you know, kind of, because we don't all have the right answers.
No.
You know, and we are going to make decisions that are going to be complete doozies. And we're going to look back and say, oh my goodness, why on earth did we ever do that?
But you had fun doing it. Like I said, the last 6 months, you had fun doing it. Yeah.
You know, and I think the other part is you've got to be prepared to admit your mistakes.
Yes.
Right. So, you know, don't carry on down there just because you know, you don't want to say you were wrong. You know, you've got to be in a position to turn around and say, yep, we got that one wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and
as long as you don't make the same mistake twice, you're learning.
Right. You know, and okay, so let's change our direction.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and move forward and be open about that too, right? Because, you know, your team need to know and understand that, you know, is okay, we're changing direction. Why? Right.
Yeah.
You know, well, we didn't get it right.
You want to be flexible, especially with your team and your people,
and transparent, and you know, and I think so. I don't know how many that is, but you know, that's kind of the
I think we're at 10 right now.
that culture of not being afraid to try.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's probably the biggest thing, and I think that's really what we're doing at UNF.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, that's
you know, we're saying, you know, to our faculty, our teachers, everyone is, you know, let's try new stuff, right? It may not work, you know, but 90% of it will, and it's going to push us forward, right? It's going to benefit the students. So, you know, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing in my psychometrics is naturally I'm afraid of failure, right? And that drives me, right, to succeed. But I have to be aware of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Because when I'm making decisions, you know, I have to stop myself and say, well, is this a decision because you don't want to fail? Or is this a decision because you want to, you know, make it work? So that comes back to knowing yourself, right? You know, knowing where your things are and making sure that you stop yourself and pause just to reflect on whether this is actually the right decision or a decision that your personality is driving.
Having those informed decisions. That's like you said. Informed decisions. Yeah. Great. Data-driven solutions. Done. All the buzzwords today.
Yeah, exactly.
ISTJ.
I don't know, Emma, if you want to talk about the Innovation Hub and, you know.
Well, even just like you said, not being afraid to start. So a lot of the students too, like obviously with our partnership, and we're going to have a lot of students here at the Innovation Hub, and the goal is, you know, to support those student startups and support those teams that maybe meet at the university campus and bring that dream over here. And we look forward to supporting them and doing those things. So we'll be sure to refer them to this podcast episode so they can get all those great tips and just not be afraid to try, because that's really where we come in. And here at the Innovation Hub, we're here to just help people start.
Well, yeah, sorry.
No, continue.
No, I was going to say, you know, when you were at Dalhousie, did they have an innovation hub within the university as well, too?
Yeah, so Dal had been working really hard on developing a kind of a entrepreneurship and innovation framework within the university. So a number of the faculties had entrepreneurial sandboxes. Okay. So I had one on my campus. It was called Cultivate, and you know, we would have an entrepreneur in residence.
Yes.
And we would hackathons, and we would, you know, we would bring students in for weekends, and we'd give them a, you know, industry would come in with a problem, and then we give them 48 hours to come up with solutions. We would teach them human-centered design, you know, the whole thing, right? And we had some students that went all the way through, created their own businesses. One group of students won the North American Entrepreneurial Award in Washington, D.C., right? Wow. So, you know, it's but, you know, for every one or two that succeeded, there were a whole load that didn't.
Yes.
Right? Great ideas. You know, and so that's what I always say to the students is that, you know, it's a great environment. It's safe. Right? So try stuff out because, you know, it's safe to fail.
Especially when you're young, and just take the risks, like while you can. Take the risk while you can.
Yeah. Exactly.
Jump, grab the opportunities. You know, that's why I traveled so much was, you know, the opportunity arose, and you know, and I thought, I'm going to do it. Yeah. Right? So, you know, and it's the same with entrepreneurship, right? take those opportunities when you can.
So how do you feel a facility like the Niagara Falls Innovation Hub could be an asset to your students for those opportunities?
Oh my goodness! So so just how far? How long have we got?
Yeah.
So firstly, we've obviously got the mentorship support,
yes.
right? Because that's one of the biggest things with students is they want to speak to people who have that experience, perhaps been through it themselves.
Absolutely.
Can actually speak from that position of knowledge. It's fine for somebody like me to stand in the classroom and talk about it. I haven't run a business,
no,
right? I haven't started a business from scratch. So chatting to those kind of people, the opportunity for short-term training or developments or networking.
Yes.
The facilities you have here are completely state-of-the-art. So, I was saying when I first came in, our Associate Dean for Digital Media and Global Communications is just, she's salivating at the idea of what our students could potentially be doing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's looking at development of virtual reality software programming, and so on and so forth.
The Makerspace is perfect for that.
Makerspace is perfect, right? Yeah. So it's just going to be a great partnership, and it's something that a lot of universities just cannot offer.
No, absolutely.
And it aligns perfectly with us, right, and our vision and what we're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
Students getting that hands-on experience, and learning with the community and with people that actually have that experience.
And what's interesting too is that, with the campus right around the corner, this being a part of it, and I know that there's future plans to build more here too. It's a unique model of integrating the university campus within the community. So it's not a standalone campus. It's, they have a building here and then a couple blocks where you have another building here too. But what better way to bring the community together with the academic institution than, having spaces in the same area?
It's downtown will be the campus in
exactly.
many ways, right? So I went to a university in North Wales where we were not a campus. No. The university was spaced out across the city, and if I wanted to go from lecture 1 to lecture 2, I'd have to hop on my bike and cycle 10 minutes to get there. And the university was completely integrated into the community. I mean, it was one of the best models I'd ever seen.
Absolutely.
Campuses are lovely for certain things. Centralized facilities and so on and so forth. Does shut universities off. You can become very insular and isolated. Yeah. So the idea of being completely integrated into the community is just a great one.
Well, and even for residency and housing too. I mean, if you have a campus, you're far away. If the campus is integrated in the city, you could be living next door. Right.
Yeah.
So it's nice. It gives students a way to have a new environment, or even just going from different classes and having different room, different environment. It's like a fresh mindset, or even
experience the other restaurants and stores downtown too that they may not have had exposure to because they're passing every single day.
They're going to be walking past the businesses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So and I think that's going to be just fantastic. And the footfall for Queen Street is just going to be phenomenal.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I think any other last-minute tips or tricks that maybe we escaped your mind or have come up, or
any habits that you do in the morning to prep yourself for your day? That do you look at yourself in the mirror and talk?
That is a really interesting. No, I don't. I don't. I'm not really. I mean, so naturally I'm an introvert.
Okay. Well, you wouldn't tell by the way you're talking here.
No, and it's an interesting one because my kids have grown up with me, and it's that was one area I really had to work on. Because if you're going to be successful and you're going to have your business be successful, you've got to network, you've got to meet people, you've got to chat to people, and so that's something that I've worked on naturally. It comes back again to identify where you're good at and identify areas where you need to work on.
Yes.
And it's probably taken me 25 years.
Wow.
And I lecture to classes ranging from 40 to, when I was in South Africa, I taught a class of 1,500.
Oh, wow.
And I do a lot of public speaking, and people will say to me, don't you ever get nervous? And I say every single time.
For sure.
Right? I mean, every single time. And I will be worried the day I'm not. Right? Because it's that it just gives you that kind of sharpness.
Yes. Alert, stay alert.
Do you know what I mean? Is a case of as soon as you kind of become a bit blasé about it, you're off the boil.
Yeah.
So, it's just a nice thing is that, that buzz, that kind of little bit of excitement there.
Yeah.
You know,
Butterflies.
Well,
and they're the best entrepreneurs.
Yes,
yeah. Well, it
Right?
sounds
They
like
are.
you challenge yourself. You always keep challenging yourself, which is excellent. Yeah, very excellent. So if our listeners, viewers, they want to learn more about the university, I know you have another open house coming up, I believe.
We do.
Yes.
End of April. And the dates for all the open houses are on our website.
Excellent.
So they can find us very easily.
Is that UNFC.com?
Yes, unfc.com. Nice and easy. So they're all there for people to find. What I would say is open houses are not just for prospective students.
No.
Yes, we'd love to see prospective students who are thinking about their options, but, we know that the community are really interested and curious.
Yeah, yes.
Come and have a look. Come and meet us. Come and chat to us.
It's such a beautiful space.
We would love to show you around.
Renovated
right?
and stuff like that too. I think the community needs to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's Queen. What's the? It's Queen. It's 4342 Queen Street. I believe.
4342.
I'll put that in the caption.
Yeah.
So people can.
You're asking me. I'm still quite new to the area, right? So
I know. Yeah, good Queen Street, right by City Hall. So
Hatch Building. You say if you say the Hatch Building, everybody knows where you are. Yeah.
There, you're a local now. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And if people want to get in contact with you, is there LinkedIn that you have that people can contact you on? Or is there an email or anything?
So if they just contact inquiries at unfc.com,
Perfect.
They will be able to get me straight away.
Perfect.
Everybody knows. That's one of the nice things about being small now.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
So, and people will be able to get to me. And I am more than happy to chat to people. I have a very much an open door policy. So if my office door is open, I'm open to chat to people. So if anyone wants to find out more about the university or perhaps wants to get involved in some way, let me know.
Excellent.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We learned a lot about your amazing history and your travels all over the world and what you've learned and what you've retained, and now that we can share to us and to our listeners to be more successful and have more people like you that reach that high level of success. So thank you so much for giving the opportunity to share your story. And for all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Made in the Mist podcast. Thank you so much and have a great day.